Start at verse 9. It says, um, pray then in this way. This is the way when we pray. Start at verse 8. So do not be like them. And again, I'm reading from the New American Standard. So it says, and do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. So when we pray, because God knows what we need before we even ask Him, and see, and what's so deep about that? God already knows what we have need of, and we find ourselves always asking. And instead of asking, we need to put ourselves in the position to receive. Because when you find yourself asking a lot, it lets you know that you're in a state of worry. Because when you're in a state of worry, you ask for the same thing over and over and over again. Because when we go to pray, he says you need to believe that you receive when you ask. So if you believe that you received it the first time you ask it, then you don't have to continue to ask the same thing over and over again. Because I can really tell you, he's not deaf. And so he heard us the first time, but it's the point of you receiving. You have to believe when you spoke it that he heard you. And he just said in his word, I know what you have need of. And when you ask, you got to believe that you receive what you ask. And because I am a good father, I'm not telling you no. The only thing that's telling you no is your mind, because just because there's a delay in it, you feel as though he hasn't heard you. So then we got to go back to the board and begin to ask him again and again and again. And he's like, I heard you the first time, but are you ready for it? Because if you're ready for it, you would have believed that I gave it to you when you asked me the first time. But because you're not really ready for it, you continue to bring it up and bring it up and bring it up. So it lets me know you're not ready to handle what it is you feel that you're asking for right now. Because if you can handle it, then you start walking toward it instead of continually asking him for it. Because God says, look, I know what it is. All you got to do, that's why the faith walk is so important. Because when we walk by faith, we're walking on God. We're walking out what we know he's able to manifest. We're walking out what we know. Even though we can't see it, we perceive that it's something that God is calling us to. So we find ourselves walking toward the direction of what he's calling us to. And if he's calling us to that direction, then you know that he's there to answer it. Yeah. But it's in our mind, the way we see it, the way we perceive it, that's hindering us, and it brings delay. Yeah. So we bring more delay to our own circumstances than we realize, because God is there. He's already done it. That's why you go back, when you do get into the quiet time, you want to get into meditation, because when you do begin to meditate, then you see it. And when you see it and you take that image, you take that picture of what it is that has to be, that you're walking toward, or what it is that needs to be manifested. You take that picture and hold that image in your mind. It's just what we was talking about Wednesday night in LA. You take that image in your mind and you hold it. Then it's just like a snapshot. Eventually you're going to see it. You know, when the picture clicks, it's still. And if you could just hold that image in your mind, you see it. And whatever you see is going to manifest. You'll find yourself walking to it. You can be sleeping, and all of a sudden you'll see that image in your mind, and then the Spirit will tell you, okay, let me show you how I'm going to lead you in this direction. I'm going to lead you in this direction. And then the next day you just find yourself going in directions, and then people just be there. You know, let me bless you, or let me do this, or maybe we got the same idea. Let's connect here. You know, you'll find yourself walking in the path of the direction of your steps will be ordered. Is basically what I'm saying. Your steps will truly be in order. So he's saying, go back to the Matthew 6, go to 9. He says, when you pray this way. Our Father who is where? In heaven. In heaven, well, I can say this. I don't think we have no religious people here, so, you know, if I say this, don't let me scare you. Come back again. But heaven could be is a form of consciousness, because that's what we're talking about, renewing the mind. because heaven is a heavenly realm in which we need to think. Because whenever we bring our consciousness down, whenever we bring our state of mind down, then we find ourselves, because you can be in hell right here on earth.
Yes.
You don't have to wait till you get into no fiery pit to experience hell, to experience a burning sensation.
Most definitely.
You can deal with that right here. You ain't gotta, and it's a death that you go through when you deal with it. So you have died when you start experiencing hell. There is a death. So when you start dealing with heaven, it's a consciousness as well. And when you raise your mind, you raise your consciousness. And as you raise your consciousness, you start walking in a heavenly realm. And as you start walking in that heavenly realm, then you begin to see beyond your needs. Because when we always looking at our needs, we're walking in an earthly realm. But when you can start seeing beyond what you need, then you'll start manifesting, because it's not what you need, but it's what you have supplied, what you can supply. And you can supply through creating in your mind.
Yes, Lord.
So he says, when you pray, this is how you pray. Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name. And when he says, hallowed be, he's saying, keep holy. Hallowed means keep holy. I'm keeping holy your name. And as I release your name and I'm speaking to the heavenlies, I'm saying, I'm calling your holy name to come. So he said, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Not my kingdom, but your kingdom. And then that's what we have to realize. We're not living as Christians. We're living in the kingdom. And see, Christians are those that you just know God. But when you live in the kingdom, you are God. There's a difference. You are God again, small g. So you are God. But because when you're in the kingdom, you're not conformed to what you're hearing in the earth, to what you're seeing in the earth. It doesn't move you because you're in a heavenly state, and you know, like I was saying, when I step up on these steps, you're bigger than this.
Yeah.
You're bigger than what you're seeing. So he says, when we pray, this is what we pray. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Where? Here on earth. Well, when he's saying on earth, what are we? We're dirt. So this is the earth that the kingdom needs to come in. This is the earth that his will needs to be done in. God made us from the dust of the ground. The dust is nothing but dirt. When we die, we go back to what? The dust. So when God created us out of the dust, he created us out of the dust of this world. So we have dominion over it. So it's not like we're trying to get his kingdom to come in the world. We need his kingdom to come in us, because when his kingdom comes in us, if his will comes in us, then we can begin to manifest. Yeah. Then we can go to the world and let them see Christ in us. Yeah. But it's not that we're trying to get his kingdom to come into this cosmos of the world or where he is, because God already created the heaven. So he knows that his spirit is in the earth. We need to get the kingdom in us so we can manifest. So when we're praying to him, we're praying for him to change us. Change us. Is this dirt that your earth, that your kingdom needs to come into? This dirt. So
yes, Lord.